Welcome to this introduction to HTML5. HTML is a markup language used to define the structure and content of documents displayed in web browsers. It is not a programming language, but rather the essential building block of the entire web. To get started, you can use various text editors like Notepad++, Visual Studio Code, or Sublime Text. Remember to always save your files with the HTML or HTM extension. Understanding how to write HTML is key. The basic syntax uses a start tag and an end tag with content in between. For example, headings use H1 tags, while paragraphs use P tags. Some tags, like the BR tag for line breaks, are self-closing, meaning they don't need a separate end tag. Let's look at some fundamental tags. Every document should start with the doctype declaration to help browsers render the page correctly. The HTML tag defines the document itself, while the head tag contains metadata like the title and character encoding. The body tag holds all the visible content from headings and paragraphs to line breaks and horizontal rules. HTML elements are generally made of a start tag and angle brackets and an end tag that includes a /. However, void elements are empty elements that do not require an end tag. Many start tags also include attributes, which provide extra information, like a link's destination, using ref. HTML elements fall into two main categories, block level and inline. Block elements like div or headings always start on a new line and take up the full width available. Inline elements such as span or a only take up as much width as necessary and do not start a new line. One important rule: inline elements cannot contain block level elements. Inline elements cannot wrap an emphasize element around two paragraphs. You should put the inline element inside each block element. HTML comments are used to add notes or explanations inside the code that are not displayed in the browser. They are meant only for developers. HTML comment syntax is open with less than sign followed by exclamation sign, and then two dashes, then close with two dashes and greater than sign. Attributes provide additional details for elements. For instance, the title attribute offers a tooltip, ref specifies a link's address, and alt provides descriptions for screen readers if an image fails to load. For best practices, always use lowercase for attribute names and keep their values inside quotes. A standard HTML page structure begins with the doctype and HTML tags. Inside the head, you can define the title, character set, and even include internal or external CSS styles to design your page. All the content you want users to see, text, images, and links, must reside within the body element. Headings range from H1 for the most important titles to H6 for the least. You can even customize their size using the CSS font size property. For standard text, we use the P tag for paragraphs, and browsers automatically add a bit of space around them to make them readable. Sometimes you need to display special symbols like the copyright sign. To do this, use an ampersand followed by a £, the character code, and a semicolon, for example, and number 169 for the copyright symbol. You can also format text using tags like B for bold, I for italics, U for underline, or mark for highlighting. We're looking at two fundamental HTML tags, the paragraph tag and the horizontal rule tag. These are essential for structuring text and creating visual breaks on your web page. The P tag. As the name suggests, this tag defines a paragraph. By default, browsers automatically add a bit of white space or a margin before and after every paragraph element to keep your text readable. The HR tag. This is used to create a horizontal line across the page, which is great for separating different topics or sections. This slide gives you a brief look at the syntax and usage at some of the basic tags available in HTML. Lists help organize information. Use UL for unordered bulleted lists and OL for order numbered lists, with each item wrapped in an LI tag. An HTML description list, formerly known as a definition list, is used to display terms and their corresponding descriptions. DL, description list container tag, which contains list items. DT, description term. This tag defines a term or name within the description list. DD, description details. This tag provides a description or definition for the preceding DT term. HTML type attribute, which specifies the kind of marker, bullet, or number used in a list. Ordered lists use the type attribute to define the numbering style. Unordered lists use the type attribute to define bullet shapes. Nested lists are created when you place one list, either ordered or unordered, inside a list item of another list. This is the standard way to represent hierarchical data, like a table of contents or a multi-level navigation menu. Structure and logic. The container rule. A nested list must be placed inside the list item tag of the parent list, not between them. Mixing types. You can nest an unordered list inside an ordered list, and vice versa. Indentation. Browsers automatically indent nested lists to provide a visual hierarchy. To add visuals, use the image tag with the S or C attribute for the file path and Alt for a text description. For navigation, the anchor tag creates hyperlinks. You can link to other websites, specific sections on the same page. S or C attribute defines the image file path we are trying to load with this tag. Alt attribute defines description of the image that in case if the images fail to load due to any issue. The width and height of both attributes define the width and height of the image. HTML anchor tag is one of the most important elements in HTML used for navigating between websites, moving from one page to another, mouse click to open some kind of image or text. The anchor tag in HTML is used to create a hyperlink on the web page. This hyperlink is used to link the web page to other web pages or some section of the same web page. It's either used to provide an absolute reference or a relative reference as its href value. As shown in the first example, the href attribute defines the destination URL, while the title attribute provides a helpful tool tip when a user hovers over the link. Additionally, using target equals _blank ensures the page opens in a new browser tab. We also see how to use an image as a link by simply nesting an img tag inside the anchor tags. In this scenario, clicking the image, which includes an alt attribute for accessibility, will redirect the user to the specified page. Tables are defined using the table tag with TR for rows, TH for headers, and TD for data cells. You can merge cells across columns or rows using colspan and rowspan. For better organization, you can group your table into T-head, T-body, and T-foot sections. HTML table tags outlining the structural elements used to build and organize data on a web page. Core structural tags. Table tag, the container for the entire table. Everything related to the table must live inside this tag. Table row tag defines a horizontal row of cells. You'll use one of these for every line of data you want to display. Table header tag, used for the first row or column to label the data. By default, browsers make the text inside bold and centered. Table data tag, the standard cell where your actual information lives. It must always reside inside a table row tag. Semantic grouping tags. T-head wraps the header rows. This helps with accessibility and allows the header to remain visible if the table is printed across multiple pages. T-body wraps the main body of your data. This is the meat of the table. T-foot used for summary data at the bottom, like a total row. Layout and description tags. Caption tag provides a title or summary for the table, usually appearing right at the top. Call group tag acts as a container for one or more call elements, allowing you to apply styles, like width or background color, to entire columns at once. Call tab specifically targets a single column within a call group to define its properties. This slide shows you how these tags can be used. In HTML, colspan and rowspan are attributes used within TD, table data, or TH, table header, tags to create cells that span across multiple columns or rows. Think of them as the merge cells feature in Excel. Column span. The colspan attribute defines the number of columns a cell should span horizontally. It tells the browser, this cell is wide enough to take up the space of X cells. Usage. TD colspan equals 2. Result. The cell will stretch to the right, covering 2 column slots. Row span. The row span attribute defines the number of rows a cell should span vertically. It tells the browser, this cell is tall enough to take up the space of X cells. Usage. TD row span equals 2. Result. The cell will stretch downward, covering 2 row slots. Try to design the following table examples for your practice. This slide provides a breakdown of how to control whitespace within HTML tables using two classic attributes, cell padding and cell spacing. The slide distinguishes between internal and external space. Cell padding. This is the breathability inside the cell. It creates a gap between the cell's border and the content, like text or images, inside it. Cell spacing. This is the distance between individual cells. It controls the thickness of the gutters, separating the boxes from each other and from the table's outer edge. For cell padding, use padding on the TD or THO elements. For cell spacing, use border spacing on the table U element. Finally, HTML5 focuses on semantic elements, which are tags that clearly describe their meaning to both developers and browsers. Instead of using generic div tags everywhere, use elements like header, nav, article, and footer to define the structure and purpose of your content clearly.